Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Oh, that is so
That's the
pleasant.
way. That's the way. Yeah, it's nice, huh?
Yeah,
Don't you like
love it.
that? All right, it's Tuesday morning. CliffCentral.com. Let's get your day going properly. Let's start you off in a gentle, smooth, friendly morning way. We don't want to put too much pressure on you first thing in the morning, right? Is that
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
None of that. None of that.
Damn straight. I like the
Mhm.
matching pink on the glasses and on the top there. We've got a whole
Right?
thing going on here. Look
I,
at
I
you.
did that on purpose. I was like, you
You
know
did
what,
it on
today let
purpose.
me put in some effort. So
Just
I've
turn up
gone and
your
I've like
volume.
matched my
No, you
whole.
look good. You look good.
Thank
I mean,
you. Thanks,
you know,
G.
for a pregnant woman who's putting on any kind of color coordination, that's a big win.
I still got it. I still
There
got
is
it.
there's this thing that happens to people. It's the same as when people are they're in a relationship. Sometimes they stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
They don't bother
Yeah.
anymore.
They let themselves go.
Right. I feel like
Yeah.
I've been letting myself go for a long
Oh
time.
no. Don't say that about yourself, Gareth. Come on. I
No,
saw those pictures from Mexico. You looked great.
I'm not looking for compliments. I promise you. I feel like I need to really get back into eating right and
Mm.
doing all the right things and the exercise and all of that shit because I'm not doing what I should be doing. Got to get
Well,
back on the wagon.
it's winter very soon, so
Yes.
that's always like a good time to sort of get back into it because gyms will be quieter. People
I
aren't
think so.
really interested in that stuff. Like they'll be just cuddling and staying indoors because it's too cold to do anything. So that's the best
Cuddling.
time to do it. So that spring, when you come out and you're living your best life.
Cuddling, huh?
Well, hey, hey.
Oh man, every time we get to like this day of the month, the third, fourth, fifth, I look at the debit orders that have ravaged my account, and I'm like, oh Jesus, this is just never going
Over
to get
it.
any better. It's like and I know that there are lots of people who feel this way, and there are people who feel a lot worse than I do. I get that, right? But it just feels like you take two steps forward and you get three steps back when those debit orders hit and when your bills come and when you have to pay
Mm,
stuff. You know what I'm talking
mm.
about, right? I mean,
No,
this is just
100%.
it's the thing about the beginning of the month that I hate the most. And I'm not hoping to, amass the world's greatest fortune. I'm no Elon Musk, but damn, I just wish I could make some progress because I
It
owe I
yeah.
owe money on things. You owe money on things. We all owe money on things. And then you look at this and
Mm,
you go, how am I going to pay off that money I owe if all I'm doing is going back to where I was or worse every time? You know?
yeah, it's a total back and forth. Literally just a total back and forth. If you get like your bank, let's say your salary, it would be
Mm.
better if they gave us like an actual clear indication of what you actually have. Because you see the full amount, you're like, perfect, I'll make it. And then the bank goes, and they take
Yeah.
and they take and they take. And then by
Right.
the fifth or sixth, it's like, oh shit, this is what I actually earn. Let me be honest. This is the
Right.
real. You know, it
And
almost it's like a bit of a lie,
and it's
isn't
never
it?
it's never it's never near the number that you think you're earning, right?
Nope, not a
Because when you take
chance.
it all off, and when you take all those, and listen, I understand it's my own fault. I pay rates and taxes for a house that's probably too big for me. I have to pay water and electricity for maybe use it. Maybe I use too much.
Mhm.
Um, I have uh, other expenses, like maybe I don't have to drive as much as I do. I can cut down on petrol. I can rationalize a whole lot of categories that I haven't looked at properly for a long time, but I still
Yeah.
don't feel like that's not going to make that big difference. It's going to make a little difference.
Yeah, it won't make a huge difference, especially on your paycheck. It'll kind of boil down to the same thing. I mean, I know the president
Right.
spoke last night and he said something about,
Yes.
okay, cool, the world's open again. My first thought was, oh crap, does this mean we have to drive to the office every single day? Am I meant to get in my car and
Uh,
drive it? I was like, oh my gosh, my
Well,
petrol
here's what he
tank.
said. Here's what he said. So the
Yeah,
president was on last night. Not that anybody watched, because now we just wait for some nerd to watch it
yeah,
on live for us, and then we
for us.
we get the we get the summary afterwards. So here's what the president said. thanks to the nerds. President Cyril Ramaphosa officially terminated the national state of disaster as of midnight tonight. So what does this mean? Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma goes back to being unemployed?
Good point.
A few transitional measures will remain in place for the next 30 days. Okay, so for the next 30 days, this is what we still have to do. We still have to wear a mask indoors. I don't know why. The existing restrictions, well, they you see, masks, because the coronavirus knows not to get you when you're outdoors.
But when you're indoors.
It'll still get you indoors. The existing restrictions on gatherings continue. So we can't. Here's Bakh'abantu. I was wondering where he was. I thought you were skiving off this morning, being lazy.
What would break first, your spirit or your body? That's a big.
Your levels are a bit low. Bring it up.
Bring it up.
That's better.
There you go.
All right. Just to bring you on board, we are talking about Silili's messages last night to what we all have to know about the end of the state of disaster. I mean, technically, as long as the ANC is in charge of South Africa, it's still a state of disaster. Let's be fair.
100%.
True story.
I mean,
An ongoing one.
These guys walk into these punchlines. They have no idea. Anyway, so you can't gather, I don't know what it is, a couple of hundred people now. That's not allowed, but soon it will be. The existing provisions on international travel remain in place. Who knows what those are? Does anyone take any of this seriously? The payment of 350 Rand grant, that's one people take seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crap, because that'll affect a lot of people.
Wait, is that done?
Does that mean it's over?
No.
Like you're back to being on your own?
It's there for another month. And they'll probably keep it going after that as well, because the government don't know how income and expenses works.
Well, anyway, they have to keep it going, Gareth. They have to. Like, imagine taking away money from people. That's that's a net bad.
Imagine. I'll tell you what, the money. I know, but the money that they keep giving to people who aren't actually employed, that the government's just handing out. And while I understand that there is a place in the world for welfare, they have to realize that the people who are making them the tax revenue that they use to pay those people are eventually going to run out of money themselves. And then what? Then everybody stops getting grants. You know what I mean?
But the ANC doesn't understand economics, Gareth.
I know. But we're getting lost in the reeds, because this is all about his stupid statements last night. Anyway, he has also said that directions extending the validity of driver's license cards remain. I don't know how that's related, but it's related. So, in other words, the expired driver's licenses that people like me have, even though I went and applied for my new one and I've got a temporary, those remain in place. So you don't have to panic about that yet if you haven't got your new driver's license. Transitional measures will lapse after 30 days. This will allow the management of the pandemic to be dealt with by health regulations or other provisions. Coronavirus alert levels are done, so we don't have those anymore. This means an end to restrictions and isolation on schools, access to old age homes, public transport, initiation practices, cargo transportation, and on criminalization of non-adherence to these rules. So in other words, those sons of bitches can't send you to jail for coming up with a positive test or something. So, you know what? Some of it's good. Some of it is a long overdue. I would have started doing all of this in, I don't know, April 2020, but that's just me.
So for me, I agree with you, because the first lockdown, right? Okay, the lockdown never ended. So the original lockdown, 21 days, that was effective.
Back in the days of the first lockdown. Do you remember the first lockdown?
21 days.
To flatten the curve.
I was not on board, but I was like, okay, I hear you guys. Yeah. I'm going to trust. That made sense. After that, what are we doing? You're trying to tell me COVID doesn't spread at night, doesn't spread after 9, or was it after 8? You killed businesses, you killed everything, and then you guys expect us to fork out more tax to pay for the people that lost their jobs during lockdown.
Correct. Anyway, look, better late than pregnant. No, I mean better late than never. Because
so better Bakh'abantu than Lebank. Thank you, Gareth.
Right,
great compliments this morning.
So my question is this: now that all of this crap is over, and we've realized that as you said, Bakh'abantu, and quite rightly so, that they have done more damage than good, and that we did nothing whatsoever that is at all objectively provable under laboratory conditions to retard or change the direction or the course of this virus's behavior. Nothing. There isn't a single bit of proof that anything that we did, these lockdowns, did anything to lessen the harm of the virus. Okay, you can say, oh, but maybe it did. It didn't, and you can't prove that. And nobody can, not even the doctors can, not even the virologists, not the epidemiologists, none of them. So if all of that happened, and they're only ending it now, I think we're entitled to an apology, maybe. Just a, hey, guys, we just copied the other governments in the world, which they did.
Like we messed up.
Yeah,
so what Gareth wants is accountability from the ANC.
Instead of ruining millions of people's lives, possibly impoverishing a whole extra swathe of people we couldn't afford to impoverish, and we know that's happened because unemployment is even higher now than it was at the beginning of coronavirus. We've done enormous damage everywhere we could, in the worst way we could. To normal behavior. Old people who were healthy were locked away like they were lepers. Kids were forced to wear these things, and God knows how they're going to learn to speak properly. It's going to take them that much longer to get all the language skills that they might have needed because they get their fucking faces covered. But let's just see if we can sit back for 5 seconds and get an apology. Hang on, I'll wait.
Yeah, Gareth, you'll be waiting for a while. Straight up, just lower your expectations.
Sorry, it's not going to happen. Right? It's not going to happen.
Maybe Cyril will respond. Tweet Fikile Mbalula. He'll respond.
Yeah, maybe Fikile, and maybe you from your personal account, because you've got the blue tick, right? He only responds to things from people that are official, that are certified. So if you say, I Gareth Cliff, at Fikile would like this to be done, please send us an apology, he might consider it.
I reckon what I've got to do is just I've got to go into the union buildings with dynamite strapped to me, and then maybe I'll get taken seriously. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. And we really downplay the effects of what this whole thing did, especially to the kids. I actually saw with my own daughters, who I realized that one was born in October, just before the lockdown, and the one was born right in the dead of lockdown. And I took them outside the other day, and they didn't really know how to act, if I can say. They kind of struggled. It was like, look at all these people. They were literally just like, whoa, there's a whole world out there. And then I realized that this is probably my fault because they've just been inside for their entire little lives. I need to get them out more. And that's just my kids. Now, can you imagine, kids that are really just locked in there, that don't see the world at all? There's a lot of consequences.
There are still parents in some parts of the world who have not allowed their kids to leave the house, or they have to wear masks inside the house. There are some parents who've really some psychopaths, and those people should be arrested, and their children should be taken away from them because they're not fit to be parents. Those people?
Yeah, there is an element of sociability that kids need that the lockdown also deprived.
And let's remember that kids were hardly affected by this. In fact, I think
we knew this.
Yeah, we knew this from the beginning, virtually. I mean, certainly within the first 3-4 months. And then we could have stopped panicking about the kids because they were not going to be affected. Yet we kept punishing them. We kept making them wear masks at schools and all kinds of things. And then people said it was because of the teachers. And do me a favor, come on, really? What, we suddenly, now we have to look after teachers? We have to prioritize them over the children? Come on. Which ones are the adults again? Remind me. Anyway, I always say to myself at the start of the week and at the start of every show, I go, I'm not going to get into a funk about this thing because I know that we've gone over this territory a million times. But we wake up in the mornings and we try to get our lives together and we try to do things. And invariably, this stuff gets kicked up in our faces at some point. And last night, the president had one of his family meetings, which I'm thoroughly sick of now. I don't need to hear. I also
hate that term.
I
hate that term.
You don't need to hear from him unless Russia is imminently going to bomb us or we're going to be nuked by some other horrible foreign power. Just rather keep it to yourself, silly. We're not that interested in you anymore. Just go back to, laughing on TV and smiling with other politicians and backslapping and shaking hands and worrying about your own personal fortune of billions. And let the rest of us who are not billionaires try to get our lives together. Just leave us alone. How about that? Good deal? That's part of the state of disaster. You leave us alone now. All right? What do you think?
Petition for Cyril to leave us alone. Signed.
Yeah. Sanela says, gee, I wasn't listening to Cyril. I was busy losing my dad. You guys better be far more entertaining than the press this morning. I'm dying from people's depressing condolences. I want a distraction. Well, listen, Sanela, it would be wrong of me to say anything, but I'm really sorry to hear about your dad. I mean, that is an absolute shit show of a thing. I will tell you this, having not lost my dad, touch wood, yet, but having seen friends of mine in fact, one of my friends lost his dad in January last year. And I remember him saying to me when I said to him, I'm really sorry. He said, it's going to happen to you. And when it does, I'll be here for you, which is, I think, the best anyone can do. And if there is a truth to losing, particularly for a guy to lose their father, it is that at that moment that you lose your father, you become in every way, shape, and form an adult. And life becomes all about like the things that you want to change about the future, and there's no one in the past that you can rely on anymore. Then it's down to you. So, dude, I'm sorry. I think Lebang and Bakh'abantu might want to say something too, but I'm really sorry. I know you listen to our show every day, and I hope we can make you feel a whole lot better. That's a shit show, dude, and that's a whole lot more important. That's more important than the state of disaster being lifted. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
man.
Sorry,
condolences, man. There's nothing we can say beyond that.
Yeah, and look, you've got us every morning, literally. Like we're here with you, literally every single morning.
Don't make it feel worse.
Well, look, the thing is, it's as he's saying, he's tired of people saying, "My condolences, I'm sorry," but
I know.
He's lost somebody dear to him, bro. Like, just come here every morning, and we'll be with you, as Gareth is saying. That's what's important. We've got you, bro.
Yeah. All right, we've just had the last of the COVID restrictions removed here in Malta, says Lee. The economy has been struggling due to the low number of tourists. Well, Malta, you're an island in the Mediterranean. I mean, you need that tourism badly. So yes, good news. All over the world, they seem to be dropping these things. They were in such a hurry to put them in place, remember? And we just ate it up, hook, line, and sinker, even though it made no difference. Okay, a lot of people now wishing you condolences on the show, Sanela. So here we go. There's Tracy saying this. The void, such a great person leaves. That is the part that hurts. I'm so sorry. You're the one behind the steering wheel now, Sanela. Be strong and make him proud. And Cheryl saying, so sorry for your loss. Hey, I have realized just in a very small way in the last little, these 2.5 years, let's say, 2 years, maybe a little bit more than 2 years, that loss is inevitable. And we seem to have been maybe coddled, maybe it's not the right word, into this false sense of security that we won't ever have to deal with that medical science will save us, that politicians will make rules that will save us, all of this stuff. It won't. We've got to just realize that at some point you're going to lose just about everything you care about. And that is part of the whole process of being human and living. And if you have little kids, then one day they're going to say goodbye to you in the natural course of things. Hopefully, I hope against all hope that it doesn't go the other way around. But this is tough stuff, man. And it does build character. It toughens up those scars. It makes you a little uglier. It makes you a little bit more rough and ready. But that's the only way that we improve, because nobody gets better when everything keeps going their way. Nobody.
Yeah. It's just that there's no guide on how to deal with these things. I mean, there's the Dr. Hanans of life who will, sort of give you some sort of advice when you're going through it and tell you, right there and then you have to grieve, but you'll never be prepared for it. You'll never know exactly what to do, how to act. I mean, I'm seeing my best friend right now who lost her dad about 2 months ago, and she's still crumbling. She's still, her whole life is unfortunately falling apart as a result. And, her big brother is suddenly expected to be the man of the house instantly and know just how to do everything suddenly. And he's like, where the hell do I start? So it's like a journey and it's a learning process that kind of everybody has to deal with. And the fact that we all deal with it differently, that's the bigger thing, because you can all be siblings growing up in the same house and you lose the same parents, but you deal with it so differently. And that can either make or break, the aftermath of everything that happens. But definitely it's inevitable. It's just how you react to it and how you deal with it, in hopes that you will deal with it and not ignore it for the rest of your life. So
absolutely right. Those are wise words. And
but like
also has something wise here. He says, we don't get used to death, we just get used to the pain.
There you go.
That's right. That's right. You were going to say Bakh'abantu? Sorry.
I was going to say, like, to your point, Gareth, the coddling needs to stop. I remember I wasn't given the fake fairy tale about if your dog dies, it goes up to the farm and whatnot. My mom was pretty blunt about things. Like, she was, people die. We don't know what happens. We're Christians, so we believe they go to heaven, but this is what the Bible says. Yeah, it was pretty basic, pretty forward. But now with COVID also, it's kind of desensitized me to a certain degree to death. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, dead. Okay, next. Then it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel I come off rough to people, including my mom, funny enough, because she called me cold this one time when she was telling me about a relative who died from COVID. I was like, yeah, it's normal. But I don't know. Like, but condolences. That's all you can say. We deal with things differently. We try to cope.
Here's some wise words from Sanele himself saying, thanks, guys. Really appreciate every word, but please don't be depressing. Rather, let's laugh about other things. This we can't make any better or worse. That is absolutely right.
That's true.
Okay. So, I mean, we were in an absolute state of being excited and thrilled when we saw that Black Coffee won the award. I saw that his son was there as well.
That was very nice.
Collect the award with him. They were playing at an after party afterwards. In fact, Jen Sue, who is, she's a friend of ours who lives in America. I think she was actually at the Grammys, and she seems to have gone to an after party where Black Coffee was playing. So that was quite nice. We'll see if we can get hold of Jen Sue and find out what she's had 4 days of not sleeping, according to her Instagram. But we'll find out from her what actually happened behind the scenes. If you're interested, and I am, because again, there are South Africans here. Like Trevor hosted it, and Black Coffee was a winner. It's really nice stuff. So there we go.
Doja Cat as well. I don't know if we can claim her or not, but Doja Cat, Zandile Dlamini, daughter of South African actor. Yes.
Crocodile.
She's ours on paper. Zandile Dlamini, aka Doja Cat, is South African. So congratulations.
Wait, wasn't she racist? Like,
he was once.
Wasn't she cancelled?
At some point.
Everybody's been like, come on, everyone's going to be unless you are absolutely dead quiet and have no personality and hide under a rock. You're going to be cancelled at some point. This is what I keep saying to people, especially
unless you are white bread, you don't get cancelled.
Even that, I think, because sometimes, somewhere, someplace, someone's going to say, that bread is too white. And then
it gets stuck here. It's too dry. It's too dry. It's like a bit of a crack here. It stops here. You need to wash it down with something. So everything at some point gets cancelled.
All right. So Bakh'abantu, you had some car issues. We were talking. Lebang and I were just complaining about the bills and how the beginning of the month is always just the time of the bills. But when you have car trouble, that's even worse, because then those bills are unforeseen and really annoying and expensive.
So I drive what in my people call a skorokoro jalopy for the rest of you guys. So, 2006, an Astra from my mom, right? Mom gives me this car. And then now I get stopped by the Joburg Metro, and then they tell me that my battery is loose. I'm like, how do you guys figure out that? Open your bonnet. I'm like, no.
What?
Yeah, then we start having
things.
I don't know. And then the guy's like, we have then we start doing the whole, I'm speaking English, he's black, I'm trying to be white. Who do you think you are? Debate. Anyway, bonnet opens, and then this guy yanks my battery around. Obviously, it will move. And then he's like, look at that. It's loose. So guess what now? Because of your attitude, because of this, also you're young, I'm going to give you a fine and you have to report to some police station and whatnot to go and get your car evaluated. So I'm currently ordering a battery clamp because I figured I Googled.
A battery clamp. This is something I didn't know you needed to have. All right.
That's what I Googled. I'm like, how do you tell if a battery is loose? And then there's YouTube videos for everything, right? So now the guy pushes the battery. I'm like, but this guy didn't push the battery. He literally picked it up and did this. But hey.
So what does that cost you? What does a battery clamp cost?
It's gonna cost me $250, but then labor, and also I have to drive to Lange something. It's a traffic department in Joburg. I don't even know where it is. I have to drive there. Langelachte. Thank you, Lebang.
Well, I mean, just the petrol to Langelachte is going to cost you like $1,000.
Exactly, and it's $750 for the roadworthy. For them to run the test that proves my car is roadworthy, the car that has been driving. I'm like, okay, fine, guys. It's my only mistake, Gareth, here, because the lady is like, if you just didn't talk, I would have talked about this amicably. Okay, she didn't say amicably. She said something.
She meant she wanted a bribe.
Yes, basically, that's what she said.
Simple English.
Yeah, what's wrong with you? Didn't you grow up in South Africa? Don't you see a chance for a bribe coming out of something like this? I mean, I always just shut up and go until I see the gap, and then I'm like, now should I offer or should they suggest? And then if they suggest, and I look at the odds, right, and I go, is it what time of day is it? How desperate am I to get to my destination? And don't you know that these people? I've always had fights with people when it comes to bribing police, because they say, you're part of the problem. If you bribe the police, you're part of the problem. It takes two parties to make a bribe and to make corruption. So I go, yeah, absolutely. But I've stopped caring about that stuff. It's one of the reasons I value living in South Africa. You can sometimes get a shortcut to where you need to go.
So that's the conversation.
You didn't take it. You didn't take a shortcut. You're an amateur.
That's the conversation I had with my mom. My mom was like, you always nod. I'm like, but you raised me to stand up, because Gareth, I even asked for the charge sheet. That's when I realized I was going full like white parrot. I was like, where is this charge sheet?
You are such a moron.
Shout from Chris in the comments. Can you please read that comment?
Lebang and I are just so disappointed in you. You're not even a real South African.
I'm shocked. This is like freaking amateur 101. Number one, you should know by now not to speak English. That's the first thing that you don't do, especially if you're black, because they'll be like, this guy thinks he's better than us. Look at him with his English. You see, Ntokozo agrees. What? Bro.
That's literally what everyone told me. My mom was like, you should have went sorry in the blackest accent you've got, my son. But
no,
yeah,
how will I pay for the same thing? As a black person, you must never speak English with the JMPD. Never. Well, this doesn't help me, but I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Poor Robin, like, you can get the fine squashed at the magistrate, but by the time it gets to the magistrate, Robin, you're in big trouble. Then it's too late.
My mom also told me this thing about challenging fines and whatnot, because this is my first ticket ever. I've been driving since 2015. Never gotten a ticket. So now I go from 10 to 0, and then this guy is like, you should be a good young man. I can tell you're a good boy, but you have this attitude problem. I'm like, all I asked was that I have never heard of this rule, guys. Can you just show me where this rule is?
Stop it. You're so by the book. What do you think? You live in Switzerland? What's going on with you? Moron.
By mistake.
You're mistake.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I fell for that one, hook, line, and sinker.
You can even e-wallet them a bribe. They've literally upgraded their system. That's where we are now. Don't ask me how I know, but a friend told me that.
I just want to tell anybody who's going to come in here on the show now and ruin our fun, because Lebang and I are well on the side of, if you can pay a bribe, so you can just make your life easier. And maybe that guy and his mates in the cop car get some KFC that day. I don't see how going through the process in a country like South Africa, the only people who really get punished are the people who follow the rules every step of the way. Now, I'm not saying go out there and break every rule, but if an opportunity arises during the course of your normal interactions with the police, where you can exit stage left without anybody getting hurt, without anything on the record, without any problems, and it costs you a couple of bucks. I don't see why you shouldn't do that. The thing is already corrupt, with or without you. It's going to be happening. Someone else is going to take advantage of it. Why shouldn't you? If you're one of those people who has an e-toll tag on your car, and you're one of those people, make sure that the day before your driver's license, your disc expires, that you've got the new one. And if you're one of those people who, I always pay my tax in advance, and I always do it, good for you. Good for you.
Good for you, Karen.
You're going to get suckered so badly, and you're the only one that this corrupt government relies on to keep the machine
only
working.
Only in South Africa, doing the right thing, you get punished for.
Right.
Only in South Africa.
Dude,
right.
It's how you survive. It's how you survive.
I think you've said this before, Gareth. Eskom is the only company that punishes you for buying more of their product. You get less electricity by buying more. Like if you go $1,000, you get less electricity than if you went 500.
Correct.
On the units. But
and if you steal directly from the overhead lines, it costs you nothing.
It costs you nothing. Only in South Africa do you get paid.
I mean, sometimes you're going to get electrocuted to death, but sometimes you're going to get free electricity.
Forever.
You choose.
Dangerously, man. You know, this whole idea of like, oh, the world is so safe and full of laws and everything's going to be fine. Yeah, right. If the last 2 years didn't teach you anything, then you didn't learn it. That was the most important thing. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of people here climbing into you. First of all, Dogoza says, you earned yourself so much admin. This is for you, Bakh'abantu. Just because you didn't speak Vernac and questioned their authority. Ha, 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 ha. So people mocking you. Just speak KZN Zulu to the JMPD and they'll let you go under the assumption that you're new to Jozi. Or a taxi driver, Msizi.
That's a good trick, actually.
Gareth says, Bakh'abantu, stop saying my mom this, my mom that, dude.
Guy, she is the one.
Nico says, you are a fake South African if you have not paid a bribe.
Yep.
Who still pays traffic fines, says Chris. Ha ha ha. Only Muppets with too much money. Oh, this is great. Okay, I do love this country. I do love South Africa. Don't be Australian in South Africa, says Caramel Patch.
Well, yeah, you'll get hurt. You'll get hurt.
All right.
I know lessons have been learned. I have appropriated the right attitude moving forward into this.
There you go, comrade.
Now you had to buy a stupid battery clamp, whatever the hell it is. The only person in South Africa who's bought a battery clamp in months. All right, so here are some stories from the news. Just as if we haven't heard enough about Cyril, he has just appointed Thulas Nxesi as the acting public service minister. Ayanda Dlodlo is heading to the World Bank. I don't know if we should be excited that she's going to the World Bank. Anyone, again, in the ANC, in this cabinet, Cyril's cabinet, who gets offered a job at the World Bank is just going to spread bad administration to the World Bank. So, hey, you know what? You can have her. And now, Thulas Nxesi, remember, he's the guy. Never forget, who's Thulas Nxesi? What's the most famous thing he's done? Does anyone know?
No.
I have no cooking clue.
He's the fire pool guy.
He's
the one yeah.
Oh, shit.
He's the one who told us back in the investigations into Nkandla, he's the one who said, no, it's a fire pool. And we need the pool to put out all the flames on the roof when the grass is on fire because it's a thatched roof building. That was Thulas Nxesi. So this is the genius that we've got back there. Yeah, him. So now he's going to be in the Public Service and Administration cabinet post. And Ramaphosa thanked Dlodlo, who served the government and the nation in various leadership roles. Yeah, can you name anything she did?
Nah, nothing. But clearly she did something right to get recognized by the world.
Sorry, I can't think of anything.
Exactly.
Before she went to the World Bank, this is where Ayanda Dlodlo was. All right, just have a look. She was a Minister of Communications for a while. We're still waiting for that digital migration at the SABC.
What happened to that? 5G?
What happened to what happened to our lower prices on these things? Huh? Okay, Home Affairs. You remember when she was Minister of Home Affairs for a bit? Didn't things get so much better? Oh, no, wait.
No.
She was State Security Minister for a little while.
Well, the president didn't get assassinated, Gareth.
He didn't get assassinated. That's true. So maybe she did that. And then Public Service and Administration. Anyway, she will be one of 3 board members representing the interests of 25 African member states at the World Bank. She holds a master's in business administration as well as a number of postgraduate qualifications in management development, business management, and executive development programs. She's held several senior blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Messi is coming in. I mean, does anyone, please, this is not impressive. This is just shuffling the cards in the cabinet. That's all it is. And that's what Cyril's good at. I'll just give you this job. You take this job. What's your no qualification? Don't worry.
Okay, let's shuffle it.
And frankly,
probably it's a payout.
You two
Maybe
forgot
she knows something.
You two forgot about the fire pool thing. So Tulas, go for it. You take over that portfolio.
Yeah, right? We'll forget is the point. I mean, we'll fake care in the moment, then we'll just keep it moving, which is extremely sad.
Yeah, the fire pool was disrespectful, though. The fire pool, the 2 million rand fire pool.
So
it's
guys,
there. The safety
listen
measure.
To this. So services, this is from the BBC, services such as bathrooms and domestic abuse refuges can be single sex in certain circumstances, Britain's human rights body has said. However, the guidance from the Equality and Human Rights Commission says such services should be open to trans people wherever possible. So in other words, there are only a few places now in the world that are reserved for men or for women, like a toilet. And this is hugely controversial. You know, the trans community very upset about this, all 17 of them. Hugely upset about it. So, according to the Equality Act of 2010, providers cannot discriminate against someone based on sex or gender reassignment, but there are exceptions where access for certain groups can be modified and limited in what is described as a legitimate aim. So in case you were wondering, there are still going to be some places, I'm sorry about this, especially for the trans people, you're going to be very upset by it, but you're not going to be allowed to change with underage girls if you're a guy with a big beard and a big cock. Sorry. Sorry.
There's certain places where it should just stay as is. I can't envision, like, in the heart of North taxi rank, they decide that's where we're going to implement this. No, some places should just, they're there for a reason. Please, just stop.
One last thing in the news before we get to African analysis this morning that you need to know about. Elon Musk has just bought the largest share of Twitter for any one shareholder. He's bought a major stake. Regulatory filings showed on Monday that he has sent the social media network stock soaring and igniting speculation he could seek an active role in operations. He is already the world's richest man and CEO of the electric vehicle company Tesla. He's a frequent Twitter user who often posts controversial messages and announcements and has long been critical of social media companies. So what's he going to do? Instead of moaning on the sidelines, he's going to take all those billions and he's going to buy some Twitter. Now, this is interesting.
Own it. I love that energy. Energy.
Great, hey?
So this is what y'all do here.
He's acquired 73.5 million Twitter shares, which is a 9.2% stake in the company. In one recent post, he questioned Twitter's adherence to free speech and hinted at launching his own platform. Why launch your own when you can buy the one that's there? And it's already starting to have an effect. I see some of the trash is already taking itself out because someone at Twitter posted this comment about, I can't believe that Elon Musk's going to come in and he's going to get in the way of us regulating Twitter and making sure that people can't be bullied or say terrible things. And this person is going to resign. So slow clap for them. Exit stage right. I hope Elon gets very actively involved in Twitter, and I hope he takes all the woke tards on Twitter who've made it such an unpleasant place, and he bans them using the same rules they made to ban everyone else.
Yes. Speaking about bans, I saw your one-man show.
Bad things happen.
Got flagged on YouTube.
Bad things happen because you deserve them. Sorry, that's how it goes. So I'm very excited.
Gareth, what are you saying, B?
No, I was saying I saw Gareth's one-man show got flagged on YouTube. Friday's show got flagged. What did you do?
Oh, no. I played. Remember on Friday morning, when all of you were sleeping, I played a video of a bunch of people in South America because of the fuel price going up, trying to steal fuel from an overturned tanker, and then the thing catches fire and they all burnt. So it was considered like I wasn't meant to share something like that because it's
copyright something.
Well, not copyright. It's like
no, it's harmful to.
And I did warn
to
people
eyes.
beforehand.
Oh,
I did say to
okay.
people, this is not a pleasant video to watch. Make sure the kids aren't watching. But anyway.
Oh, I thought it was a classic Gareth move where he killed a woman on because she was black.
That's what I do. Sure.
That Gareth is gone.
Because I'm so famous for actual murder. Yeah, that's what I do. So all right,
that's the thing.
All right,
live on the show.
We're going to talk to JJ Cornish now. It's, of course, part of Africanalysis, which is our time to catch up with JJ. It's brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School, and we're looking at what is happening around the continent. Here he is, the man himself, JJ Cornish. Hello, sir.
Bonjour to you. I'm having such difficulty I'm having real difficulties with my connection.
No, we can hear you loud and clear. We can see you. We can see you perfectly. Wherever you are right now is fine.
Okay, well, I'm here.
No?
Who's that? Okay. Steve Jobs. What's his brand name? That isn't working. So, but if you can hear me and see me, that's fantastic.
Indeed, we can.
Try and get the lighting.
Jem, I saw you wandering around your house. I thought we were in the Blair Witch Project for a minute there, but
Are we ready to rock and roll?
We're ready to rock and roll. Let's talk about Africa. Let's talk about African refugees.
Because I'm not hearing you now.
Oh. JJ, can you hear us now? JJ, can you hear us now? Hello. JJ.
Come in, JJ, over. Come in.
All right. I'm going to kick him out for the moment, and we'll see if we can't get him back. This is happening a lot. Very annoying.
Yeah, lately especially.
The internet working, please. Jesus, it's really annoying me. Anyway, I'll talk to him about African refugees in a moment or two. There are some other people talking about this robot dog that issues COVID-19 safety instructions. It's roaming the streets of Shanghai. They've actually got a dog wandering around, a robot dog though, and it's busy issuing.
In the Black Mirror? Don't y'all learn?
Thank you.
Didn't you see Black Mirror, guys?
It's a documentary. Everyone should watch this show.
What?
Well,
knowing the Chinese government can start killing people who test positive.
There you go.
Probably will. Probably will. I did see this from someone a little bit earlier on, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's about what's going on in China at the moment. Let me just see where I can find it. God damn it. Someone sent me a message just a little bit earlier on. And they said
in the comments, Gareth is saying, did I see right, or does JJ have a lepondo? do you know what a lepondo is? Let me show you.
What is it? What is it?
A lepondo is basically where you like tie your hair all the way up, like into a little
bun, right,
all the way to the back.
No, I don't think he has a lepondo.
I guess Camilo is. I think he definitely has a lepondo. Yeah, he must actually show us. We need.
He has a man bun.
A man.
Oh,
yes, that's the direct translation. Man bun.
Well done, Elon, says Sanela. Twitter is becoming idiotic. There are a few steps from forcing us to adhere to them, they, their, what, she's, etc. I was suspended for calling an idiot mocking Gogo Mohlangu's attack a retard. Well, listen, you get into trouble on every level on Twitter at the moment. There are just too many of these people who feel that they are going to save the world that are running that operation at the moment. A whole bunch of like woke staffers who are between the ages of, I don't know, 16 and 30, who just have no idea how the real world works, and they're trying to control Twitter as a sort of free speech utopia. But I say free speech in inverted commas because it's not free speech the way it should be. It's the way they see it.
Yeah, I was saying this to my friend yesterday, actually on a phone call, that the world has kind of moved from facts to I feel like. Mm-hmm. Every sentence we start with I feel like. I feel like it's not about how you feel, it's about what is.
Yeah.
People should stop
it's not
feeling
that,
a certain way.
It's for me personally, like, okay, go on. For you personally, what? There's your
For you
opinion,
personally,
and then there's
what?
facts.
There's facts. There's only one truth. There's no my truth. There's no your truth. There's the truth. It is what it is.
Nobody wants to hear that, dude.
Sanele, like a retard is an actual scientific word once upon a time, but someone just decided like recently that it's offensive. It's the R word. It actually means something.
It does. Yeah. And
there was a scale
also
before.
Like earlier I called you a moron, and there are different scales of no, seriously.
There is a scale. There is a scale. Moron, retard,
imbecile, moron.
Yeah.
In fact, let me give it to you because it's quite an interesting thing. I often refer to this.
So this is interesting.
I've also read up on the scale. It's science.
Yeah. So this is really cool because when you're going to use these terms, it's great. Idiots are those people who are so defective that the mental development never exceeds that of a normal child of 2 years old. Yeah. So if you call someone an idiot, that's the worst one. An imbecile is someone who has a development higher than that of an idiot, but whose intelligence does not exceed that of a normal child of about 7 years. Okay, so if you're as dumb as a 7-year-old or dumber, you could be an imbecile. But if you're dumber than a 2-year-old, you're an idiot. And then a moron is someone whose mental development is above that of an imbecile, but does not exceed that of a normal child of 12 years. Now, this was published in 1912 and is probably not the way that people tend to refer to people anymore. You don't want to go around calling people these things scientifically, but it's still interesting to look at. So when we use these terms, it's part of the fun.
It's part of the fun.
But it all sounds like horrible. You don't want to be called any of those things. Doesn't matter what scale. Doesn't matter what. Yeah, science. Dog. Any of those things. Imbecile, moron. It just all sounds like you are the last person on planet Earth, and you don't want to be where you are right now.
Let's see if we can get JJ on here. JJ, can you hear us? Huh. Oh my God! All right, now you know what? We'll let's Simpiwe keep on trying here, but I'm steadily getting annoyed more and more by the fact that the internet lets us down with guests. It's becoming almost impossible. So let's just take a big deep breath.
Look at it this way, Gareth. The government says they're going to give every single South African household 10 megabytes, not 10 megabytes, 10 something of free internet. So maybe that will be the solution to our current matters.
Sure, because they've solved all of our other problems.
Yeah, because they give us so many great things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Thank you,
Simpiwe, just give me the thumbs up once you've checked on JJ's connection and you're happy with it. Otherwise, I'm not going to keep going back to him unless we know for a fact that he's there. All right, so there's some other things that are worth discussing this morning, and this is quite cool. Apparently, the second and third runners-up of Big Brother Mzansi lost out on 2 million rand, but their fans are raising money for them. You know, this is amazing. South Africa, we will raise millions of rands for reality TV stars, but we will not help some gogo who's feeding all the kids in the township with a soup kitchen. We won't raise money for her. It's like, oh no, let the charities take care of that. But we'll give a reality TV star a whole lot of our money. This is just insane. This is so mad. It makes me crazy.
And these aren't reality TV stars. These are literally just like dare I say, like a bunch of kids who've just been in a house for 3 months. So you feel like you're connected to them. If you sit and watch them every single day doing absolutely nothing, you feel like you are closer to them and you become their stan. And they announced the winners of the Big Brother, I think it's season 3 on Sunday. And it was like unexpected. The person who won was like the least expected to win. So the fans were like, okay, cool. Well, our faves didn't win. We're going to open up GoFundMes. I think they opened up these GoFundMes yesterday. They've raised already like 70,000 rand for these people as a thank you for entertaining us for the past 3 months. Dude, 70,000 in one night. Overnight. That's what's happening. This is the world we live in.
I don't get Big Brother as a concept. I don't get it as a show. It's not entertaining. It's people sitting in a house just living their daily lives. I hate it so much. It is the bottom of the barrel of reality trash TV.
Dude, I'm so with you. I'm so with you. It's not even. This is the most. This is why it makes me crazy. Is because shows like this are popular, right? There's nothing we can do about that. We've just got to accept those shows are popular. But Big Brother is it is like the Kardashians. The same reason they piss me off is that they don't have a talent. There's nothing they really do.
There's nothing happening. There's nothing happening.
They're just on camera the whole time. That's all. And people whose lives are even more boring than that, watch them. And then
and 24/7, hey?
We are not a rich country.
I hate that there's a channel where you can just scroll and you can just see them just lounging around. It's an indictment on what we consider entertainment. It's terrible.
Right,
how we spend our lives.
Who do you hate here? Because you can hate the people who are on the show.
No, I hate the people on the show, and I hate the people who watch the show more.
Okay,
I'm sorry. No.
The people on the show have auditioned to be there.
Yeah.
There's a
market for it.
There's a production company that knows that someone's going to watch this. Your ire and your hatred must be reserved for the people who watch this stuff.
You know what I hate more? The people that isn't it 200 rand? No, not 200 rands, 2 rands to vote for whoever wins, or is it free now? I hate the people who actively spend money, because it's fine. You have a DSTV subscription. There's nothing to watch besides sport on DSTV. We all know this. So you just scroll to this channel, but then you take your phone, you pay 2 rands to go watch some of your money to go vote for. I like Lebang. And Lebang is sitting very nicely on that couch. It's not even interesting because the American stuff and the UK stuff, I think the same.
So what do you think? So what do you think then? Because this is a whole new level. So the entry level hatred you have is for people who watch the show. Then the next level of hatred is for people who actually pay to vote on the show.
Yes.
Now the third level is this one that we're talking about this morning.
No, the ninth circle of hell. The people that are raising money for the people who are boring on the show.
Right.
On the boring show. People that were boring on the boring show. Now we're raising money for them. Out of your way, guys.
Yeah. How do you have that much time? What flabbergasts me is to see how much time these people actually have and invest in watching other people simply sit and live, in inverted commas. That's the really scary part. Like, what are you doing in your day?
But let's stop complaining about this and maybe look for an opportunity here. I'm always a glass half full person, and I like to see the silver lining. So here's an idea, and I wonder if this could work. Okay, let's imagine that there is a market for people watching other people just doing their boring shit. So why don't we build a bunch of houses so we take one of these shitty little towns where nothing happens anymore, and we buy a bunch of houses and we make them out of perspex, so that every wall is perspex. So you could see right through the house. You could see what people are up to the whole time, but you don't have to pay for a TV or any of that. You could just sit outside their house on one of those garden chairs.
And
you can bring your own. You can bring your own beer, or you can bring your own weed or whatever it is, and you could sit there. And this whole town, everybody lives in these perspex houses, and obviously there are those people who really want to be watched. These exhibitionists, these attention seekers. You put them in the houses, and then you open up the town and you say to people, you guys are welcome to come here anytime you like. Don't watch the stupid show on TV. Just come and rather sit outside, and you can actually interact with the people too, because then you can instruct them. You can be like, yeah, you're being boring. Why don't you go and have a shower so we can see you naked? Or why don't you say to the other people, why don't you have sex with the people in that house over there across the road because we're bored with you? I think that would be the real way to turn this otherwise very dull idea into something a lot more exciting. You have a big brother town. Now, isn't that a genius idea? Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gareth Cliff for tourism minister.
This is giving me Black Mirror. This is also just giving me Black Mirror energy.
He's either writing a Black Mirror episode or he's the greatest tourism minister we've never had.
You choose.
Short left to that town. Short left to Big Brother town.
I think we've got to do this. We make it because reality TV is not reality, but if you do this in the real world, it becomes reality. I'm with this idea every step of the way. Come on.
It sounds messy. It really sounds messy. But I don't know if we're ready for that as South Africa, but I can definitely see that taking off in other countries already, where you just sort of like maybe even get paid just to sort of live your life and let people just like
I've got a
watch
better idea. I've got an even...
Okay.
I'm going to take this to the next level. I'm sorry,
ladies and gentlemen.
This is not African analysis, everybody. We'll get JJ on later in the week, but this is important. Okay, so here's what we do. We take this town, and we have 4 different neighborhoods, but they're not huge. They're like maybe 3 or 4 houses in each neighborhood, right? So it's tiny. The one neighborhood you give drugs and drink. The next one across the other side of the road, there's a 4-way stop. Okay, on the other corner, you give them guns. On the other corner, you give them takeaways, so they just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And then in the last one, you can have people who are like sex maniacs. And then what you do is you shut them off. You have gates between them, the 4 different neighborhoods. But then during like open time, you open the gates and you see what happens. And the people with the guns will go into the people with McDonald's, and the people with McDonald's will go into the sex people's place, and the sex people will go into the drug people. Then you'll see some serious action. I should be in charge of entertainment. I should be in charge of all the entertainment. I'm telling you, it would work.
I think at that point, like, too many people will end up dead. And I don't know if it's the McDonald's guys or if it'll be the guys with the guns.
Oh, no, it will never be the McDonald's. The McDonald's guys are going to die first. They're going to be fat and rolling around.
That's my point. That is my point.
Listen,
the drug people will survive. The drug people will survive.
I hate to say it, but we already had the best entertainment back in ancient Rome with the gladiators and the animals eating the people and all of that stuff. That's what people really want to see. I'm just saying, give the people what they want.
Give them what they want. But no one's willing to admit that. It's like no one's going to say it out loud. Like, that's what I want. I want that. You're Gareth.
I just said,
you're Gareth.
For a reason.
I can't believe no one else is thinking about this stuff. I can see it now. Like, you have billboards, flying around. You have lights, and we can watch them at night, and then we have people buying like tickets for the pay-per-view, so you can sit there and actually watch it in person. And you get snacks, and
what's that?
And you get to,
what's
you get
that
to
Jim
press
Carrey movie?
Truman Show.
Truman Show, yeah.
The Truman Show. So this is low key the Truman Show with a little bit of Westworld, maybe with a little bit of Big Brother. That's like the concoction.
A little bit of Big Brother, a little bit of Black Mirror, a little bit of the Coliseum.
Here's another good idea. Here's a really good idea. This is from hang on. Yes, here Woody says another area with Karens. So you add an area with Karens in it as well. We can. I
wanted an area with like woke Gen Zs. Like everyone's just like, guns are bad. Like when it's open time, they're like, guns are bad. Shame.
Yeah. Here we go. I would watch Big Brother if they had a methamphetamine season. Just spike them every morning with breakfast. That would be entertaining.
Want lawsuits.
This is good stuff. No lawsuits.
They have to consent.
When they sign that form to be on the show, anything goes. If you get killed, then because this is a combination. Let's just think about the greatest movies of the last Hunger Games. It's a combination of that with Gladiator. It's a combination of that with Game of Thrones, because you can have real live action of people being chopped up and all the rest of it. This is it's such a win, man. This is such a win. I can't believe
should have a neighborhood of taxi drivers. Then you'll see real shit go down.
Good idea. Or what you do
is expanding.
I have an even better idea. You buy the contestants for this show from the prisons all over the world, the worst prisons. So then nobody really cares what happens to them. So you buy the prisoners, and then this is their chance to be famous once before they die. Those prisoners will put in a lot of effort to make sure that they're entertaining. Trust me.
Oh, look, speaking about bad prisoners, do you know what? You know John Mongrel?
Who?
You don't know John Mongrel? John Mongrel is this guy. There's this interview, legendary on YouTube. This guy talks about how he makes guys have sex with him. And he's like, it's not just about the sex. It's I make their face look at my face while I fuck them. I'm like, this is rough. And it's just on YouTube. Yeah, this man, his name is John Mongrel.
What kind of stuff are you Google searching while we're not doing this show?
Yeah, like you watch one season of Sex in Afrikaans, and suddenly it's just this rabbit hole that you
become a complete nutcase. All right, listen, we've got to end this one because it's 7:00. JJ has sent his apologies. We will try to get him on for African Analysis later in the week. I apologize for that. But we'll be back with a whole lot more in just a short while. Stick around. cliffcentral.com on a Tuesday. It's the 5th of April. Do you suffer from collectivism?
I started collecting when I was about 8 years old.
Do you have an obsession with objects?
I sort of got into collecting TV cars.
Are you a fanatic? A devotee? Are you someone exhibiting enthusiasm or strong passion?
When lockdown hits, when everyone was kind of bored at home, they started Googling, like, what are these things worth these days?
Cliff Central dispenses a weekly dose of collectomania. Join me as I talk to compulsive collectors. Fascinating.
The frame's total value is probably about 12,000 Rand.
Possibly a little weird.
I developed this infatuation with the Statue of Liberty.
Collectomania, Mondays on the Gareth Cliff Show. Brought to you by SA Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop.
Up next in the Auto Trader podcast, my perception of energy management and understanding the energy production versus energy storage, not only with the EV but also how does it get to the EV and what's the most efficient way to get it there.
It's made your entire life a lot more sustainable, if that makes sense.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
cliffcentral.com. It is a Tuesday morning. We got Bakh'abantu and Lebang on the show with us this morning, and a lot of people talking about what we were coming up with just before this, which I think is it may be the greatest entertainment idea of all time. How do you take a stupid and boring show like Big Brother and you make it interesting? Well, we've come up with all the plans, all of them, right? We know all the ideas. All the best ideas have been on this morning. So thank you. We've got even more suggestions. Some people saying you could just call it Big Brother Brack Pan. That's got a nice ring to it. I suppose so. That's quite a good idea. Glass wall games. There we go. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, let's do this. I mean, I remember there was this boring TV show that used to be on in the maybe the 90s, early 2000s called MTN Gladiators. Do you remember? They used to hit each other.
I used to love that. I remember Giant.
They were padded things, so nobody really ever got hurt. It was like an obstacle course, and then these people had to take on these gladiators. But they used sponge and cushions, and everybody was wearing helmets, and it was all way too safe.
Oh, but it was pretty cool. My favorite character was Granite. There was this big dude. I forgot.
Granite. Oh. Didn't he call himself? He called himself Granite, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was Granite. Okay.
Granite.
Granite.
Granite. They didn't call himself Granite. He called himself Granite. Yeah, that's.
That
was fantastic. That passed for entertainment. And then somebody yonder here says that that guy you brought up, Mongrel, Johnny Mongrel Baka. It's an old series on jails done by the BBC. Leader of the 28s in Pollsmoor prison was Mongrel.
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, he's in Pollsmoor down in Cape Town. His story is terrible. It gets to this question where the BBC guy is like, "Oh, so would you consider yourself gay?" And then he's like, "No, I'm not gay. You're gay." And then the guy's like, "No, but you fuck other men." Oh, can I say that?
Yeah, well, it's rather crass, but okay, I just want to apologize to anyone whose children are sitting in the car right now listening to us live. There we go. This is Bakh'abantu. He's our intern. He doesn't know how to behave himself, but there we go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Emphasis on intern.
Wow, Lebang, what's with the shade now? But anyway, John Mongrel says, "No, the guy who I'm fucking is gay."
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And then,
the
guy's like,
Bakh'abantu, you're way too interested in this story. I've already moved on, but I just wanted to read Yonder's comments because really the rest of us are fine with not knowing more about this mongrel guy. It's fine. I promise you. I was not sitting here going,
we're okay.
Tell us more, right, Lebang? I mean, do you really want to know more about this fantastic human being?
I wonder what Johnny Mongrel's thinking about right now. Ooh, I'm so interested.
What did I need on a Tuesday morning? What did I need on a Tuesday morning? John Mongrel News live.
Yeah, John Mongrel News with Bakh'abantu. All right, so let's move on. We got some things to do. We got some people to see and some places to go this morning. We're going to speak to someone later on called Madi van Schalkwyk. Apparently, this person is going to try and encourage us to talk to strangers, not to not talk to strangers. So this is really interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a thing that she's got called A Stranger Kind, which is, among other things, a bunch of events that they're doing where they're trying to encourage people to meet strangers. Now, for many of us, this is not something that we're in a hurry to do. And we'll have to hear what exactly here in South Africa. Yeah. What do you think? And there are actual events. They're happening. Those events are going to be happening now. So you can go to them if you want to and meet strangers. Some people don't
like Joburg CBD. I must just walk up to a litmus gent who's got his hand behind his back like this, and I'm gonna say, yo, what's up? That guy? Cool. Looking forward to speaking to them.
Yeah, I don't think that, but we'll find out. I don't know that Lebang's example is the best example. Let's just
okay.
Like yo.
All right. So that's coming up. But here's an email I got from Woman of Color, and it's got to do with Cyril's restrictions being lifted, although she lives in the Netherlands. She says, I know we're all COVIDed out, but you mentioned these findings from a few weeks back. Here's a link to scientific research that's been done in Gauteng that no one will tell you about in the media. And we should interview, according to a Woman of Color, the researchers on this one. Are you aware that with all these travel rules and restrictions, they have not applied to politicians at all at any given time? Now, that's interesting. If you go onto the airlines' websites, they will tell you that throughout the entire pandemic, none of these mask rules, none of these COVID tests, vaccination rules have applied to the politicians at any given time. Did you notice that they were all still flying around during COVID? They were all still
the essential workers, Gareth. They had to go steal that money from all the PPE places.
Yeah, well, they apparently, not just in this country, but all over the world, the politicians have just been doing exactly what they were doing before. No changes at all, but we had to abide by these rules. So surprise, surprise. I just thought it was interesting that Women of Color sent that to us and that she's given us that link, which I think maybe we'll post it on cliffcentral.com. You can tell us what you think about it as well. Could be some interesting stuff.
There's a great line from Animal Farm at the end. When you look left to right and right to left, you couldn't notice the pigs from the humans because everyone is equal, but some are more equal. The politicians are more equal. Globally. That goes.
Just another reason to be thrilled with these people being in charge of things. It's just great. All right. There are two types of people in the world. Avoid both of them, says Chris.
Chris is right. At your earliest convenience, leave people alone. Guys, at your earliest convenience, just don't get involved in people's business. Drink water, Keep it moving. Focus on what you can control.
Great advice. Drink water.
Do you just
two types of people in the world, Chris? People who pee in the shower and liars. Which one are you?
Please do not answer that. So we don't want to know which one you are.
We know which one Bakh'abantu is. He's just admitted it straight up. He was like, "I pee in the shower." That's what he basically said.
Hey, Gareth, you're paraphrasing. Thank you, taking me out of context. What if I'm a liar, guys?
It's so true. Come on, it's so true. It's obvious that everybody pees in the shower. Some people never ever do it, but some people do it once in a while. You've got to admit there are those days where you're like, eh.
Some people are so finicky about it. There's like the anti-shower piss brigade that will come for you. Because the first question is, oh, in terms of hygiene, that is disgusting. Your shower floor, this, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
do
please.
You do it in the gym?
You're washing,
blah, 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 blah.
You're washing the crack of your ass in the shower, and you're going to give us trouble about like pee on the floor.
Come on, Karen. Hey, give us a break. Come on.
You know the best thing in the whole world is to take something like Jik and to clean the shower with that. And just for a little while after that, it smells like almost like a hospital. And you think, oh, my shower is so clean and so perfect and so marvelous. And that is a nice time in the shower. That's when I like being in there the most. And I try not to pee in the shower. It is not something that I do regularly. I haven't done it for a very long time, but I have done it and I have to admit it. And if I was a lesser person, I would try to hide that from you.
Thanks for sharing. I'm so glad that we are here at your TED Talk about peeing in the shower. This is such important information that could potentially change the world. Now we all know this.
Well, here's a much more interesting thing. I mean, listen, while we're in the spirit of sharing, but Dude69 says, Bakh'abantu, you are interesting, but your interest in the Johnny Mongrel situation is astounding. Oh, by the way, the dude is no more. So apparently he's dead.
I wouldn't say condolences to that one. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
Oh, come on. May he rest in peace, wherever he is.
No, Labang, may his soul be forever tormented for all the people he raped in prison. Bad man. Bad.
No, not a nice person. Not by the sound of what you've told us. I didn't know about this guy until you mentioned him. I didn't even know that there was someone as horrible as this. Is there a picture of him somewhere? Let me see if I can find a picture of Johnny Mongrel. Let me see if we can find this.
I think it's that old documentary that they did years and years ago about like the 26s and the 27s and the 28s, all that like Cape Town jailbird energy. It was very eye-opening. Very cool. I remember watching it as a kid. I was so scared. I was like, "Ooh, scary."
Don't go to jail, guys.
Exactly. Don't go to jail. That's very important. So let me just see. I think I found a picture of him. And he doesn't look as scary as I thought he might look. He doesn't look great, but I mean, let me just show you a picture. This is off, what was the show called? Louis Theroux, right? Louis Theroux, who went to the jails. So now you see, now you've got us going down this path. I didn't want to go.
Yeah, but you must be very chuffed with yourself.
I'm so happy right now.
You are the worst. All right, so here he is. This is what the guy looks like. Johnny Mongrel.
Can we have Labang describe him once you put him up on screen for the audio viewers?
Okay. Oh man. If you are listening to the show on the app or online, you are lucky that you're not seeing what we are seeing. This is a picture of a very, very dangerous looking man. Very shiny, glossy. Unfortunately, it's pixelated. But just envision.
I think he was also pixelated.
Yeah, just when you in Joburg CBD, and then there's a guy with his hand behind his back, and they're moving closer and closer towards you. It's that guy times 3. Yeah, that's the bra. That's the guy.
Okay,
right
so he's wearing one of those. He's wearing one of those orange prison uniforms with the prisoner written in circles on the orange. Just the greatest design ever. I want to compliment whoever it was that designed those prison uniforms because they are just fantastic. By the way, I have one of those prison uniforms, which you're not allowed to have.
Just collecting dust.
No, you're not allowed to have them because technically anyone outside of prison who has one might be an escaped prisoner. So
is it like the military uniform? You can't have it because
So they gave them to us when we went to did our prison visit. Right, this was years ago when I was still doing a talk show on 702, and I actually spoke about this on Friday morning. But I went there and they gave a bunch of us these, and they didn't ask for them back. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll keep this for the dress up. One day I'll go to a dress up party and dress as a prisoner. That'll be quite
funny. So you stole, Gareth?
I sort of stole from the state. Then I must.
You stole from prison. Oh, you stole from the state.
They gave it to us, and then we didn't. We weren't asked to return them, so I didn't return mine. Anyway, I don't know where it is now, but if I can find it, I'll bring it out and show you on the show. If I can, but it's exactly like.
Please come as John Mongrel.
I'll start the show. I'll start the show as a prisoner one of these mornings, but it looks exactly like this one that he's wearing in this picture. So it's the orange with the circles of prisoner, prisoner, prisoner written all over them, which is just so, it's so stereotypical. I mean, not all prisoners. That's not all there is about them. They also have personalities.
You get fined. Like, you're not allowed to be sarcastic in the workplace anymore, Gareth. That is an instant fine. We'll report you to HR. No sarcasm allowed.
It is not the most interesting thing about you. Like, you like pottery.
Right. You know what is pretty awful is Madonna. I have 2 pictures of Madonna, and again, I do not like beating up on old people, especially when they've been around since the Rinderpest. And in Madonna's case, she really, she's not looking great. I just want to show you quickly a couple of pictures here of Madonna that you need to see, because I do think that there is an enormous amount of value in growing old gracefully. Okay, I don't see why we all have to try and hold on to our youth forever. I don't mind if you try and keep yourself in good shape, but there comes a point, like Madonna, she's approaching 70 or something like that now, isn't she? And you know what? I've seen a lot of women in their 50s and 60s and even 70s who look a lot better than she looks now. Just take a look at this picture of her. Here's Madonna.
Has Madonna ever looked hot? I might be too young.
She's 63. And I actually saw this video. It's actually a screenshot from a video where, unfortunately, I don't know if it was like a filter, but number one, she looks extremely high. Like, her eyes are literally bloodshot red and almost like clamped to, like, they shut together, and she's like leaning into the video and like blows a kiss or something. But it almost looks like she's just had like really bad plastic surgery. And I don't know why nobody's calling her out on that. She just doesn't look great.
I'm going to see if I can't get you a better version. It was on TikTok, apparently, this picture. So let me just see if I can't upload a slightly better version for those people who are watching. And for those who are listening, we'll try and describe it to you, because it's quite horrifying. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting old. It's part of the whole process. We all get old. No one's going to look great there for the rest of their lives. Look at this.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible.
Dude.
She's had so much plastic surgery that the lips are no longer really lips. They're kind of like big balloons that have been stuffed under her skin. The eyes are puffy. There's a lot of shininess going on there, which is definitely not a normal pallor for any human being to have. And then there's this picture just to show again, and I'm not beating up on old people, because to me, old people look good when they get old. They age gracefully. Madonna is not doing that. Look at this. That's just an awful
girl. And she's only 63. That's the thing. Like, she's literally only 63, which is still, a nice age to be doing your thing. Yeah. But now she's just doing too much. Like,
plastic surgery has this law of diminishing returns. The more you get, the worse it gets. You either get the botched one, standard, first one, bad, unfortunately for you, or the more you get plastic surgery, the worse it looks and looks and looks. It's terrible.
But
does she look in the mirror?
It's an addiction. Like, when you get a tattoo, you want to get more. It's apparently the same thing with plastic surgery. Like, you always find
body dysmorphia.
It is. It is body dysmorphia, and you're quite right. It is an addiction, and this is probably the most sensible thing said about it. The law of diminishing returns comes into it. So, if you go for a nose job when you are 30-something, and you think, well, this is going to make my nose less big or less ugly or less whatever you want to change, whatever you want to do to it. And it works. And people go, oh, you look really good. Then what it does is it reinforces the idea that you must change things instead of that it's just corrected something that you were unhappy with. I mean, I know people who've had a little bit of plastic surgery and they don't look terrible. They actually look fine. They reach a point though. There's this, it's on the chart where you start doing the plastic surgery and you start looking weird. And where it starts looking weird and you can't move your face properly, that's when you've gone too far. You should have stopped like 2 steps before that. Make sense?
Yeah, by the time you realize that, I think it's too late.
It's too late.
Right.
And like nobody's, if people have been telling you, you're not listening to them, obviously. Oh my goodness, Madonna. If you're listening to this and you can't see this, consider yourself lucky because we now have to look at this and have to actually zoom in. Oh no.
So this is her in a leather, like I suppose you could call it like an S&M policeman outfit with the long white hair, which I think that might even be a wig. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. But then the face is where I've got a problem. Like, Madonna, and a lot of people have been very mean about how Madonna, I do think that she was a very sexy woman once. And she used to be
so as well.
It wasn't just about the way she looked. I mean, Madonna carried herself in a way and she sang about things and she made stuff sexy. And
she
you
was
might not
intentional.
you might not be a big Madonna fan, but you got to admit that she made a huge splash and she continues to. I mean, she's getting our attention right now. The fact is, though, that this plastic surgery is just not help, and the titties are too big for a 60-something-year-old woman, and the lips are like really Botoxed, and the face is like pulled tight. There's not a single wrinkle there. Now, wrinkles to me are character.
Yeah,
there's a certain element where it makes it real. It makes you feel like a real person. She looks plastic, and it's unnerving.
But you can imagine the pressure, guys, of like being Madonna, this 80s, 90s sex icon, barrier breaking, blah, blah, blah. And like you kind of feel like you have to stay in that place. You can't grow old because the minute you grow old, you grow redundant and you grow irrelevant and. So I kind of get where she's coming from. This isn't I'm Madonna, I want to wake up and actually do this Botox and do this plastic surgery. It's her heydays just saying to her, hey, dog, like that's when you were fresh. Come right back here and perhaps you'll be fresh again. And the question is, where are friends and family?
Who does the artificial makeup, plastic surgery well? Dolly Parton. Imagine if we talked about how Madonna's like, oh, Madonna's aging gracefully. Oh, Madonna used to be hot, but now she's hot for a different reason. Now she's just, she looks like she was punched.
So wait, you think Dolly Parton is doing this right?
I don't know. Dolly Parton doesn't look bad. Dolly Parton's got damn titties.
Let's see, Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton. No.
Is anybody listening to Bakh'abantu right now?
I came out wrong. Sorry.
Oof, I don't know. Hey, like Dolly's also, look, she's better than Madonna, but she's also there's a whole lot of
there's a line, dude.
Very fake look going on over there. I'll show you a picture of Dolly now that you won't be so thrilled about backing your statement from earlier on. But I will say that there are people who age gracefully. And just to go back to the wrinkles for a second, because really the point of this is not to say mean things about people who are getting old. We'll all get old. But these laugh lines here on the corners of your eyes and around your mouth, and those things show, to me, those are like character, man. I think that it shows that you're a fun person to be around. You've spent a lot of your life laughing. And I like that. To me, that adds beauty, that adds character. That doesn't take away from it.
It tells a story.
Yeah, but they airbrush it out of all the pictures of the models in the magazine, Gareth, and on the girls on Instagram.
Who still believes pictures on who still believes pictures on the internet and in magazines? If you believe that stuff, the problem is not the magazine, it's you.
It's you, no, for sure.
Look at Dolly. Sure. Here's Dolly. Here's what Bakh'abantu says is totally natural.
No.
That's totally natural, Bakh'abantu.
Not totally natural. She's doing plastic surgery. Not bad. Not bad.
Nah, dude.
How old is Dolly? Can you pull up a number here? How old?
I feel like she's always been old.
In other news, Bakh'abantu is going on a date with Kanye Bao later on, so we're all very excited about that.
If he could, he would. Dolly Parton is 76. She's 76.
Okay, so
pull up the picture again.
No, so can I say again? No, you know what? You may have a point here. Like if Dolly Parton can look like that at 76, this year. This is a recent photograph of her, and she looks pretty good. Look, she looks a little bit stretched. She's definitely had some surgery, but she for 76, that is superb. And
can we see some guys as well? Let's see some guys who have just lost it in the plastic surgery scale. I saw earlier, I think it was Chris saying George Clooney still looks great. He looks fantastic. But that's George Clooney.
Has he had plastic surgery?
But I think the best work is the one you can't tell.
Yes, it's like what Gareth says. It's like if it doesn't jump inside, like there's still the lines, there's still that bit of natural vibes going on. But then there's like an extreme where it's like
for all we know, George Clooney's in the plastic surgery every day, but
we don't know.
Yeah.
If George Clooney has had plastic surgery, then
Sylvester Stallone. That's a good shout.
Okay, but hang on.
Stallone.
Now we really are beating up on people. But if George Clooney has had plastic surgery, that is the surgeon we all need to know. Because this guy.
Oh, look at that.
I'll tell you what. I would take whatever. If that's plastic surgery, I'll take it. How old is he now?
I don't think he's had any. Hey. Well, if he has, then.
George Clooney is a good old 60 years. 60 years. It's not bad. No, it's not
That's
bad.
not bad, yeah.
And his wife is 44, Amal. But Brad Pitt this year turned 58.
Yo.
Wow.
Yep. So you know what? There's good and bad, and you don't really know until you get there. And a lot of it has to do with genes. Tom Cruise is 60 this year. He's turning 60 this year.
And he's still chasing planes.
He's still chasing, but
if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke,
every Tom Cruise movie, he's running. I don't know where I saw this.
That formula works. It's a winning formula. That's all. They're not going to change anything.
Yeah, but he is a nutcase. I mean,
he is a nutcase, and he's obsessed about his height. He hates that he's short.
Yeah, I've got a friend who won't date. He's on Tinder, and he won't date any girls who are taller than a certain height. He just immediately swipes. They could be beautiful. They could be like, for all he knows, he's missing out on the perfect date. But as soon as they turn out to be taller than a certain height, and he's not even that short. That's the funny thing. He's not like short, but he won't date a girl who's taller than, I think he said, 5'6" or 5'7", somewhere around there.
That sounds like a him problem.
It's a him. No, it's definitely a him problem. But I don't understand it. Like Tom
Gareth,
Cruise,
you've got
major problems.
Like you're generally like, you're like an average height / tall guy. There's a lot of short, very short
height. I think the first time I met Gareth, I was like, yo.
Well, okay, Bakh'abantu,
he's gigantic.
You, my friend, what is your height?
Can we not disclose such personal
Well, you see, so short people generally have a syndrome. They don't like to speak about this.
Aren't you a dwarf, Bakh'abantu?
No, I'm still growing. I'm I'm young. Everyone remember in the comments that I'm still young.
Still growing.
I'm still waiting for my growth spurt.
Oh my God. Someone says here, you've got to, before we get to our guest, you've got to check out Mickey Rourke's face. He had some work done. I think this person's being sarcastic, so let me look it up quickly. Mickey Rourke. I know that he never looked really great, but maybe let's just see. Mickey Rourke, 2022. So we get an updated picture of what he's looking.
What's happening these days?
Oh, sweet Lord. Okay. Whoa.
Mickey Rourke has never looked well, though. He's always looked like he's always looked drunk. He always looked like he's hungover and he got into a fight.
This is really bad. All right, let me put this up on the screen for you. This is okay. So we're going to give the ladies problems and complain about Madonna. We're also going to complain about Mickey Rourke.
Thank you.
Here for your viewing pleasure is possibly one of the most terrible plastic surgery situations known to man. Here, this is what do you? He looks like he's been stung by bees all over his face. His eyes are barely able to see through the puffiness around them. There are still, you can still see the lines from the sides of his nose down to the corners of his mouth. There's still a bit of a chin dimple going on there, but everything else is an absolute disaster. He really doesn't look great. And here's another picture of him after obviously the bees had left, and he doesn't look a whole lot better either. Mickey Rourke, sure, okay. So you know what, Madonna, don't worry so much. We'll give you another few years.
Yeah, you'll be out.
After seeing Mickey Rourke, Madonna's fine. I take it all back. What can I say? All right. Yeah. Let's talk to our guest for this morning, Madi van Schalkwyk, who is the founder of A Stranger Kind. Now, listen to this. Most people, including all three of us, Lebang and Bakh'abantu and I, who this morning were saying we don't like to talk to strangers. We're told not to. And our parents told us, don't talk to strangers. But our guest today has created an event that actually encourages it. What do you really want to ask when you're talking to someone? Maybe they're a single mom. Maybe they're a street surfer. Maybe they've got CP, cerebral palsy. Maybe they're a survivor of something horrible. Maybe they're a hypnotherapist, bisexual. You never know. And you won't ever know those things unless you ask the right questions. Now, humankind's boundless curiosity, according to our guest, is the force that drives discovery, creativity, and innovation, as well as constantly reshaping our experiences of the world. A Stranger Kind, which they call ASK, is hosting these ASK or Ask events to connect with those different to ourselves, where people meet the people that they wouldn't otherwise meet. And you're encouraged to be curious at these events rather than presumptuous about others. So let's speak to Madi van Schalkwyk. Here she is. She joins us now this morning. Hey, Madi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. It's nice to see you. So first of all, are you completely insane that we should talk to strangers?
Listen, I'm still not inviting people to get into their cars or take sweeties from them. So just as a baseline. But yes, I think, we are associating the idea of strangers with stranger danger, obviously, as we were taught. And I think we miss out on so many interesting things about people. And I think we immediately associate someone that is unknown to us with something bad, which in 90% of the cases, when you get to speak to someone in a random occasion, like in the queue at a grocery store, whatever, you actually kind of walk away going either inspired or intrigued or fascinated. And we're trying to create opportunities like that. We're saying, what would happen if we actually create a space where people know you're encouraged to come there, to choose a topic that might be something we don't talk about often in general society, or we're told not to talk about. And not just that, but actually have a space to then ask those questions that we're also told not to ask. And what's nice about our situation or the setup that we have is the conversations are one-on-one. So when you choose a topic from a list, you actually sit down in a one-on-one conversation with this person talking about their personal life experience.
So let me just ask you, because I want to get into the details of Ask in a moment. But I mean, I'm being facetious when I say that we don't want to meet strangers. Actually, all human beings are hardwired to meet as many people as they can and to try and figure things out. It's also the way that we interpret the world around us. It's the way that we figure out how markets work and everything else. The more information you get, the better you are positioned to make decisions. And the more people you meet, the better you will become a judge of humanity. And judging, while that's what you're trying not to encourage here, judging is kind of what keeps us alive. You need to figure out if I'm friends with this person, or if I marry this person, or if I know this person is an advantage or a disadvantage. But I like the idea that what you said there is that most people that you meet, once you've actually had a conversation with them, there's a reason to like them. There's a connection. You find things that are interesting, right? It's not the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, it is a survival mechanism. You walk into a room and you assess the room to kind of measure your dangers for survival purposes. And so, but the problem is we usually stop there. We just look at someone and we go, oh, I know your type, or I know what people that look like you or sound like you are like. And none of us actually like to be on that receiving end, yet we do it with other people. And so we're saying, let's not stop there. Let's create an opportunity where you can actually speak to someone, or even speak to a topic that you do have an assumption about, and reassess your ideas. If after 45 minutes with this person you still feel the same, we're not going to force a flag in your hand on the way out.
So Madi, is this like blind dating, except you're not dating, you're doing it
for friendship?
Yeah, it seems like platonic speed dating.
No, not really. I mean, it's great if people do connect and they want to, whatever happens outside of our event spaces, we won't stop. But I guess it is kind of in a similar way, creating that opportunity for people to meet. Yes. But maybe also not with the intention. I think that's something that we're very aware of. We don't deliver a product, or we don't want a special outcome from these engagements. We just want to create the opportunity. We have people with incredible stories, South Africans that daily live with amazing, their normals or someone else's like insane experience. And we just want that opportunity for them to be able to make a difference with that story or share that story, and someone else to actually sit down and go, oh, I mean, in South Africa, how many people live so segregated still? Or like, how many people out of your normal friend group or even your demographic do you engage with or get an opportunity to engage with around a topic that is maybe not?
I'm curious about this. Is there a market for this? I mean, have you had people say to you, oh, wow, I really need to meet new people, and I need to meet people? Because the general idea I get about humanity is that we are actually quite closed to novel experiences and new people. Most human beings won't admit this, but they're in a comfort zone, and they know a certain group of people, and they stay in that group of people, and they only have those friends and that family, and they don't really go much outside of that bubble. They're perhaps forced to do it at work, but everywhere else they wouldn't do it unless you held a gun to their head. So is this a market thing that you've looked at it and you've gone, people are desperate to do this, or that you feel like you have to kind of encourage people to do it?
A little bit of both. So we've been having this methodology in various formats for 4 years, and the feedback when you see people that has been to these events, we need more of this. But also some of the topics. So we try and have a large variety of topics so that people that might feel sensitive about talking to a rape survivor or someone living with like cerebral palsy can maybe choose a topic that is just of interest. That's like day to day, like a single mom. For a lot of people, they go, well, I grew up in a house where that's a single mom. So maybe speaking to someone else that has that shared experience might be interesting, or just want to know what it looks like in the culture.
That person would say, no, I don't want the single mom. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I almost want to say, that's how we get people there. We want to have people go with the curiosity of some topics that they might be interested in. And then when they get there, they go, this was actually kind of nice. Maybe I'll speak to that sexual boost here now.
Okay, so I'm not being too sarcastic here, but who's the most popular candidate to speak to? Is it the rape survivor? Is it the cerebral palsy person? Is it the single mom? Is it the bisexual, the hypnotherapist, the street surfer? Who gets the most interest? Who are people lining up to meet?
So interesting enough, it depends a lot on the environment that we are hosting it in. So we've had spaces where a person that advocates for rats being good pets, they were like booked out first, and I was saying, did not see that coming. But yeah, so a lot of people wanting to speak to someone that has experienced grief. Our topic around grief, or our undertaker, has been a topic that's often gets selected first. But it actually varies. It varies even on dates. We'll have the same event in the same place, and it will vary. And it just kind of shows that people show up in different spaces mentally, or maybe what's going on in the news influences that. We see how something happens, and suddenly we get to an event and our male rape survivor is the first to be booked out, because there's context and people want to understand how that fits into our narrative out in the news at the moment. So it's actually, it's ever changing, which is actually kind of showing us what we're giving out there is healthy, because it means it's organic and it's adjusting to how humans actually behave.
People are lonely. I think we also we can't downplay that big thing, is that people are lonely and they're not going to admit how lonely they are. And I can definitely see the difference between going online and chatting to a bunch of strangers on the internet and then being in a space where we're all intentionally coming here to get to know people that we don't know based on these various topics. But Madi, I need to ask, is from the safety perspective, I'm just not sold. I can see how I've watched enough TV to know that there are sick people out there who probably pry in these environments. For them, it's like, ha, 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 let me go there so I can find. Like, I just can't. Like, is there a safety precaution that you guys have put into place for this thing?
So I can honestly say in the 4 years that we've hosted it online and in one-on-one, in-person events, we have never had a situation where any of our volunteers or participants were at harm at any point. Even when conversations got heated, and I think that's why people enjoy kind of what we're offering is we do a lot of the work up front to show people what is safe. We explain exactly what they can expect. We can explain exactly the topics they get. And when they get there, we show that this is an environment where, firstly, when you're having a one-on-one conversation, we don't know what you're asking. So if you ask the most ignorant question, if you ask an offensive question, we're not going to stand there and throw up a scorecard of judging you or marking you with the tag on the way out. Right. So that firstly, but it also takes courage. So the people that arrives at these events, there is a shared trust happening in those conversations. So we haven't found people that's brave enough to come and say, yeah, I'm choosing this topic, because when you do choose a topic, you're showing either your ignorance or your curiosity or your shared experience doing that. So we've been
I have a question, Madi. So you said volunteers. So do people volunteer to be the guests, or do people then the people sign up to go meet these people? Do you advertise? Or we have a cerebral palsy guy on the lineup?
Yeah. So we do training. We call them our strangers. So we train with whoever wants to nominate their story or volunteer their story. We do a session with them, firstly to make sure that they're there for the right reasons. We don't want people to come and advocate like their personal brand, or they need to understand what we're trying to achieve here. We also make sure that they're in a healthy space with their topic. If we're working with a rape survivor that's still in process of dealing with a big part of the trauma, we can't have them talk about that. So we make sure all of that is in place, and then they become part of our network. And so when we host an event, we know exactly who's our strangers, that's our volunteers talking to the general public. And then anyone from the general public can come to our front desk and choose a topic. It's free. And they literally can choose whatever topic. If they have questions, we'll ask them, we'll help them gauge through kind of the questions they have up front. And then when they sit down, that experience is actually kind of beautiful, because each person chooses a topic for different reasons.
I can only see me and Bakh'abantu being thrown out for asking insensitive questions, but it is.
That's volunteers want that.
No, trust me. But South Africans are not very brave about these kinds of things. South Africans, we come from a very, whether you're black or white or Afrikaans or English or Xhosa or Zulu or, old or young, the fact is we come from a very conservative society by and large. And people are easily put off and made shy and made frightened by difference. So what happens is that if someone in a wheelchair, for example, a lot of people don't know what to say, and then they'll say the wrong thing because they're terrified of saying anything, and it ends up being all complicated and awkward and weird. I mean, I don't feel like there are a lot of people who could put themselves in these situations and enjoy the experience. What is the general feedback, though, from people after these experiences?
I mean, I would love for you to speak to our volunteers about that. It has been incredible to see actually how many people do want people to ask those questions, because they get judged in anyways for it. So they would rather have a voice being able to say, oh, by the way, and I can personally advocate. So when we do our training, I try and be the worst person from the general public I could imagine. So I would ask a rape survivor, if someone had to ask you, was there ever a point where the experience was physically pleasurable? I mean, it's a terrifying question, but someone might actually ask that. Sure. And our volunteers want people to ask that because there is a good answer to it, and there's a good reason that people need to know this information. So we try and market that when we work with our volunteers, we make sure that they are not only prepared for those questions, that they understand that when someone asks that, where it's coming from, and answer it in a respectful way, that it doesn't create like, oh, now you've offended me. And then secondly, to also make sure that people from the public understand that our volunteers have seen why this is so potent. And that's why they've been doing this for 4 years. And they come back and they say, not only did they get an opportunity to say, listen, if you ever meet someone in a wheelchair, for me personally, it helps when someone actually offers but not assumes. A cerebral palsy that used to, she's now using crutches, but she used to be in a wheelchair, has spoken many times how people thought they're helping her, but would like physically touch her without her wanting to touch her. And like actually the boundary people went across because they think they're helping. So she gets the opportunity to educate people. And so for her having a platform to say that is incredible.
You're very brave to get people to do this because they are often very stupid, and they do dumb and cruel and stupid things and don't even realize they've done it. It's like, if you're black and you go to certain countries in the world, they just start touching your hair and shit. And it's not everybody's idea of fun. Also, again, South Africans tend not to have a terribly well developed sense of what is appropriate in many situations and circumstances. So it's going to lead to awkwardness. Your people who come to the events, do they leave there going, "Oh, that was amazing, and I'm fulfilled by this," or do they leave there going, "I don't know if I'm going to do that again"? I mean, what's the feedback?
No, and so I think that is the simplicity of this is incredible. People leave going, feeling inspired, even though with some of our most horrific topics that you would think of, walk away going, if someone can survive that and actually now use that story to make a difference, I relook my life and how I want to approach trauma. Or people walk away with education. They actually go and say, that was hectic, but I think I want to change how I talk about women because I realized from our domestic abuse survivor, actually it's the subtleties that actually contribute to why people don't talk to other people. It is actually, South Africans, even when they move into that space and they see firstly how open our volunteers are, and sometimes our volunteers would actually offer some of those sensitive questions and go, like the person in the wheelchair, we have a guy in Johannesburg, incredible. He has a person that actually translates for him because of his cerebral palsy. He can't speak very clearly. And so my first question was like, how do you go to the bathroom? Like, do you always have to? And then I was like, I'm sure if I should be talking to him or the person that's translating to him. And I was going, and that was a beautiful moment. He was like, this is why I'm doing this. I want you to know.
What's in it for you? Why did you start this? I mean, like, this is great that you're doing this for everybody else, but there's got to be a reason that you do it and why it fulfills you. Tell us about that.
I always joke and say I used to be the person ruining all the family dinners. And so at one point, one of my friends said, you need a different platform. I love these topics, but I also realized very early on that, it's very arrogant of me to want to advocate for the rights of someone that's gay if I have never in my life experienced what it's like. And I can be very passionate about sexuality topics or gender topics, but I have no idea. And so how do we create opportunities where and maybe it was just for me, I just like meeting interesting people, and this is a fantastic national campaign for me to make friends. And I've got 18 incredible friends that inspire me, but I've had the opportunity to ask questions in an environment that is completely safe because we upfront tell you that it is. And getting the right people to tell their stories, getting the people at the table that has lived experience. And when they talk, they also make sure people understand that is only their experience. So they're not there as a representative for the gay community. They are telling you about personal experience within it. And I think that's also important about this one-on-one platform. Yes, it's going to take much longer. We're not going to solve world peace in the next 2 years, but it definitely has a different effect because I can ask those potentially difficult questions with specific context and my frame of reference in mind, and that person can answer it with the same. And so it's way more meaningful. It's way more authentic. And because our volunteers are there for no other reason than sharing these stories, I do believe that people, our participants are maybe a bit more open to accept what's coming to them because there's no one benefiting in any other way. There's no campaign running behind it. It's literally this person just sharing their story. So maybe I'm a little bit more open to hear opposing view, and I can ask questions from my frame of reference and explain why I'm asking it. And there's no audience going, oh, that's such a stupid question. And I think that just need safe spaces where there's no audience going, but you this or whatever, and see what happens. And most of the time, most people actually want to have these conversations as long as we can create a space where both people choose to have that conversation. And that's why we give a variety of topics as well. If you arrive at work and they're saying, listen, today at 10 o'clock, we are having a workshop on microaggressions, you're going to go, oh, I've got a deadline. But if you walk into a space and you choose a topic that might address that, that's your choice. You'll be more open to listen. You'll be more open to engage with it because you choose to be there. And so we're creating opportunities for people to go in when they want to, when they're ready, with topics. And the incredible thing is we have people talking about a shared experience and I have an example at one of our training events where two people, both our volunteers, spoke about being molested when she was young from a white Afrikaans suburbia background. And we had a very young guy from Alex, black guy, that firstly had a shared experience. So they could share something going, wow, very different backgrounds. We both know what it's like. But then they spoke about the type of help they got. And suddenly they walked away and they spoke about white privilege. And no one ever said it. But that lady came out and she said, today I learned the type of help I got out of my trauma was very different to this guy. And I never looked at it like that. And so in these conversations that people choose topics, they might walk away talking about something very different because it happens organically and they're open for it because they choose to be there.
Okay, so let's just talk about when and where these events take place because they are free and this is cool. So if you are curious and you want to talk to strangers, you can spend 45 minutes in one-on-one conversations with a stranger about a topic that sparks your curiosity. And they're having an event on the 6th of April, which is Wednesday. That's tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock. Is that right? And you can become a volunteer if you're one of those people who you think you have a unique perspective on things, or you've been through a certain experience that you want other people to perhaps ask you about. Maybe there's stuff that you think you can impart that is wise and interesting and clever and out of the norm. Then you can also become a volunteer. They're looking for those too. There are limited seats available, and it is on social media. You can just find is it AS? A Stranger Kind, right? A Stranger Kind on
Humankind with strangers.
What is that?
It's like Humankind, but with strangers.
Okay, Stranger Kind on social media, and just tell us what the basic idea is. How many seats do you have available? How many people can come along to this?
I think we've got about 10 seats left from the 60 there was for tomorrow night's event. So tomorrow is online, so people can literally log in from anywhere in the country or the world. And then we'll be releasing our Joburg in-person dates hopefully in the next month. So and those, they can pop up at any time.
Well, lots of people here saying this is brilliant. Educate ignorance, says Sean. Tiger says, this is excellent. Well done. Robin Badger says, excellent idea. Absolutely brilliant. So lots and lots of people interested.
Yeah.
Well done.
People are more brave than they realize. And if they don't know what to expect, we still invite them. Come check it out. We've got incredible vibe at the events. It's really engaging. You'll know exactly what to expect when you get there. You don't have to fear that you're going to run out of questions. Our volunteers are not going to sit there staring at you with big eyes. And the nice thing is, worst case scenario, if you offend anyone, it's a complete stranger. You don't have to go home with them. You don't have to see them tomorrow. So the worst case scenario is actually also covered.
Do you have any people with superpowers?
Well, I mean, we've got hypnosis and psychic gifts. You might want to speak to them. Maybe.
Bakh'abantu, anyone you're looking to meet and ask questions?
I'd like to meet as the psychosis. What do you call it? Like the hypnosis guy and the people with psychic powers, but it would be not an answer and question session. It would be more like you're lying. Can I do that?
Yes.
I'm going to.
Our volunteers want people to challenge them because they.
Madi, I'm sorry. I'm going to make sure that Bakh'abantu and I are not allowed to come to this event. We don't want to ruin it for you. But
ban them.
Lebang, who would you like to sit and talk to for a few minutes?
Jeez, I'd probably definitely like to speak to the single moms. Definitely, just because like I can completely relate to that, and especially if it's like
just walk down your street, Lebang. Come on.
Well, no, now I can go online and actually meet a bunch of strangers who are interested in this. Thank you, Gareth. I like the fact that it's like solution based. Like I think that's my favorite thing. What I'm hearing is okay, a bunch of people are coming to link up, sure, but you're leaving there enriched. I mean, I was a little bit sus when they told me they were going to be talking to him, like, this doesn't sound interesting. But now I'm like, okay, shit, this is actually something that I could participate in if I didn't have 5 children. But this is dope. This is dope.
Well, maybe you could be a volunteer, Lebang. Here's a woman who's had 5 children. People will be like, ooh, can we poke her with a stick? Can we see if she's real? You know?
Sign me up.
You ask about 2 hours, there you have it.
Exactly. Thank you.
5 kids is a superpower.
It's very good work. And it's actually helpful. Side note, I remember a couple of years ago, a random lady working behind a till decided to pour her heart out and just share her life story with me because she just needed somebody to talk to. And I just sat there listening to her. And after that conversation, she's like, thank you so much. I feel so much better. And I did nothing. I just sat there and, hopefully that ear that I lended her helped. So I can definitely see how.
That's where I go.
Can I have that plastic?
Rand, thank you.
I can picture Gareth saying, okay, no, it's fine. I'll take the plastic myself.
Yeah. All right, listen, I think it is a great idea. And I do believe as hard as this is for some people to fathom, it is so important for us to break out of our little bubbles and to meet other people and to have discussions with people who are very different to you. Otherwise, you become boring and predictable and everything's just laid out and it makes perfect sense. These people that you could meet, these volunteers, as Madi calls them, who come and talk about their own lives, and you can ask them any question you like. These people will open you up to a world that you didn't know about. I mean, I've been a patron of an organization called Headway for a long time, and I've discussed this many times on the show. There are people there who've had traumatic head injury, and if you told me, as many people had before I'd met any of these people, that these were the most brave, fascinating, interesting, and inspiring people, I would have said to you, "Oh, please! There are a bunch of people who've been brain injured. They're retards or whatever." And I would have said that before. And having met them, I can honestly say that it changed me in a huge way. And so this is absolutely true. If you don't put yourself out there, you don't make an effort, you don't meet people who are completely different to you, and also the kind of people who you would have probably spent a lot of time trying to actively avoid, you need to meet those people. Right, Madi?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, if someone had to tell me that not only would I have friends that used to be ex-gangsters or ex-prisoners, and not just that I'm advocating for how people are handling gangsterism in the Western Cape Flats, because now I've got a personal investment. I spoke to someone, I understand the context, I understand what influences it, and suddenly you kind of go, I want to advocate for that. Or the next time I stand in a queue, we have a topic talking about obesity, and I'm standing in the supermarket and I'm seeing a lady that's maybe obese at the aisle where there's snacks, and I used to go,
just don't ever get between her and the snacks. That's the most important.
This is why Gareth can't come.
And then you speak to someone like that and you kind of get a backstory, and suddenly there's this little buffer that pops up, and
suddenly you realize one of your packets of groceries is gone.
How do you mute Gareth's mic? Let's see.
I would love to have Gareth as like our benchmark tester for our
it is a great opportunity, Madi. It gets people to tell their stories. No more generalization. Also educates people. So I don't generalize about gay people. I don't generalize about obese people. I don't generalize about paralyzed people. Gives them a chance to voice their own voice out. And it also gives you, the public, the chance to learn.
Just people that are different from you, generally. It almost sounds like, and someone said in the comments earlier, like mass therapy. Jeez, Madi, someone's already trying to book a spot. See what I'm talking about?
This is good. I literally got airplane mode on and this still happened. So sorry about that.
Listen, this is great. We've got to wrap it up. Madi, good luck with the event tomorrow. I hope it goes really well, and I hope lots and lots of interesting conversations take place. I don't believe a word Bakh'abantu just said, but everything else is great. So thank you. Thank you, Leban. Thank you, Bakh'abantu. Thank you very much, Madi van Schalkwyk. And you can find out more by following them on social media. We'll also post the links on the podcast. Have an excellent day, everybody. Be good. We will see you tomorrow at 6.